The polls were closing, the nation held its breath, and then the impossible happened. Loki Laufeyson, the trickster god, had done it. He was president-elect of the United States. A figure known for chaos and deceit, a being from another realm, had somehow charmed his way into the hearts and minds of a voting public, securing the highest office in the land. How did we get here? How did a character so fundamentally flawed, so transparently self-serving, manage to convince an entire country to elect him? This is the story of Voting Loki, a tale that perhaps holds more than a mirror to our own political landscapes. Loki's journey to the White House wasn't born from a sudden patriotic fervor or a genuine desire to serve. No, it sprung from something far more mundane for a cosmic entity: boredom, and perhaps a challenge to his own cunning. He saw a system ripe for exploitation, a public eager for a new narrative, and he thought, why not me? His initial declaration wasn't met with enthusiasm, but rather a collective eye roll. Loki for president? Are you serious? People scoffed. But Loki understood something crucial. In a world craving authenticity, even a manufactured, mischievous authenticity could be powerfully compelling. His strategy wasn't about policy papers or economic reforms. It was about feeling. He spoke to the disaffected, the disillusioned, the ones who felt unheard. He didn't offer solutions, he offered understanding. He projected an image of a relatable outsider, someone who, despite his grand pronouncements, was just like them, tired of the status quo, yearning for change. He carefully crafted an image of a misunderstood hero, a perennial underdog, despite his inherent power. It was a masterclass in psychological manipulation, subtle yet profoundly effective. As the campaign gained traction, Loki's true genius shone through. His rallies weren't typical political events, they were theatrical performances. He possessed an undeniable charisma, a silver tongue that could spin the most outrageous lies into comforting truths. He would step onto a stage, perhaps looking impeccably human one moment, then with a fleeting, almost imperceptible gleam in his eye, he'd shift a narrative, deflect a criticism, or make a promise grander than the last. He promised everything to everyone: prosperity, security, a return to glory, freedom from burdens. But when pressed for specifics, his answers would be vague, poetic, and utterly devoid of actual plans. He spoke in broad strokes about making things better, fixing what's broken, and restoring faith. He mastered the art of appealing to emotions rather than logic. If he was caught in a contradiction, he'd pivot with wit and charm, often turning the accusation back on his accusers, portraying himself as a victim of a biased system. His lack of concrete policy wasn't a hindrance, it became an asset. Voters, weary of complex proposals and political jargon, found his simple, sweeping declarations refreshing. They weren't looking for a detailed blueprint, they were looking for a leader who felt right, who sounded confident, even if that confidence was built on thin air. The media, initially dismissive, found themselves unable to ignore him. His antics, his outrageous claims, his sheer audacity made for compelling headlines. And as we know, in politics, all attention is good attention. He masterfully leveraged this, allowing the news cycle to perpetuate his narrative, feeding the public's fascination. People weren't necessarily voting for Loki because they believed his every word. Many were voting for the spectacle, for the rebellion, for the sheer audacity of it all. It was a collective experiment in what would happen if the rules were simply ignored. And so, against all rational predictions, the impossible occurred. Loki won. The shock rippled through the nation, a mixture of disbelief, exhilaration, and perhaps a quiet sense of, what have we done? His victory wasn't just a win for Loki. It was a profound, unsettling statement about the power of influence, the allure of the charismatic lie, and the vulnerability of the public to emotional appeals over factual substance. His campaign served as a stark, albeit fictional, reminder that in the clamor of modern political discourse, genuine policy and reasoned debate can sometimes be drowned out by compelling narratives, by the sheer force of personality. It highlighted how easily a charismatic figure, unburdened by truth or consequence, can captivate an audience, especially one feeling disenfranchised or simply tired of the conventional. The story forces us to consider our own susceptibility, to ponder what we truly seek in our leaders, genuine solutions or simply a captivating performance. Loki's journey to the presidency, though born from comic book pages, offers a fascinating, almost allegorical look at the complexities of public trust and political influence. It reminds us that charisma, when wielded with cunning and a disregard for truth, can be an incredibly potent force, capable of swaying hearts and minds even without a single concrete policy to back it up. It's a story that urges us to look beyond the grand pronouncements and the dazzling smiles, to truly examine the substance or lack thereof behind the promises. What do you think? In a world saturated with information, how do we discern genuine leadership from compelling illusion? What are the qualities you value most in a leader? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's continue this conversation. We appreciate you spending this time with us, exploring these intriguing corners of storytelling and their reflections on our world.